Good morning. Good morning, Dorzen Rinpoche.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning. Dharma brothers and sisters, we are close to the arrival of Garchen Rinpoche. Just now I've already announced, but for the people, for our brothers and sisters who just arrived, please do note that we have this virtual Zoom background and we encourage everyone to do so, just like Dorzen Rinpoche has also done so. At the end of the session, we'll be having a group photo. We need you to put on your very best smiles and also to have this background. We can have a very nice souvenir for Garchen Rinpoche with everyone in it. Our admin has copied the file on the chat room. Please, everyone do download and use it. Also, at the end of the sessions, we will be promoting attendees to our panelists towards the end of the sessions. For the current panelists, you may now switch on your video, but please do try to minimize all your movements. And for the rest, you will be promoted to the panelists towards the end of the session, where you can on your video and say goodbye to Rinpoche. End of the session, not only will we be having the group photos, we will also be offering kata to Garchen Rinpoche. So everyone, please do prepare a kata if you have one. Yeah. Okay. And just now we talk about the panelist where you can switch on the videos. For the at the end of the sessions when we promote you to be a panelist, you will see a window prompt on the screen. So please press the blue button that says join as panelist, and then with that you will be able to turn on your screen, okay, and then Rinpoche can see every one of us. All right. So thank you and rejoice everyone for coming here on the last day of the retreat. Thank you.
We'll begin with the opening prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 1, once in Tibetan and twice in English. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Now go to page 7 for the mandala offering. Infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregate elements and sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala in the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Page 10 for requesting teachings. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
예외에 소리로 저도 돈 초초바지 저 틀어 삼살로 돈으로 라바다라라도 저도 많이 오대 연주로 요소 오늘 취재에 보내도 많이 그러고 라센 조금도 도대체 사벨라면 잡아서 안데 소통도 좀 수준치 냐소배 보죠 질러서 생계동도 녀도 난치라 담바 추제는 이마와 발산다 내려오는 가장 작성 강연 에트라체 치면에 강시치 주요래 데모트로나 소리야 상통때 맨카카리마도 동들이 상통도 따왔더니 사자침보 lokachimbo tangche tongterandu ore jinkai semnerok de terena de semnerok de gemlare pakete semdan kache men jorong de ba saden nam ka nam semni de ba de tonggo de tong de tong si ba de la de nam do tangche tang ka sen 동과 지고 남동네 베센 데스라고 하고 제 자체는 남가다를 남가다고 하면 되니 메롱다르지 오 셔다르스 같은 정초 셔다 메소지죠 근데 네바세를 정초다 드리자라 서로게 남동나는 남보다 차롱지고 봐도 메롱다르시서 논들이 실제로 메롱다르시는 밥 메롱도 남가게 딱 제대로 딱지가 차대리 최종나도 서남그 배대 메롱도 차례 드리자라 다 사자체 뭐지 가지베들이 생선은 사자체 뭐데 그냥 맹당 동당제라 요리 사라지는 동반이리 자체보서 그 오늘부터 세대 동반이 뭐 하고 말이 세대 나를 좀 봐지 그런 게 생긴한데 누가 소식 나와나데 이거 좀 좀 나더라 뒤수나 난 세대적이 뭐 하고 말이 나도 너도 차대지 처럼 집어서 막 동장들이 정말 또뭐 차로가 배지다 처럼도 맞을까 받았더니 니인지 요리 니인지 매번 샘들데 처럼도 쇼서더니 처럼 정초 나기 처럼 정초를 텐데 대리 사자치 몰라더니 내상도 사지 로자가 맞췄다고 얘기 바드 초강가다 서로 딱게 공부요 있어 대리 서로 딱게 땅들이 가봤더니 세부대로 가고서는 잡을 거 찾아도 잠기는 저 잠기 찾아 잡을 거 찾아도 뭐 쪽발이 저는 매일이 하고라 저 돈이 저 산능 시바라 사람들 마음대로 좀 말아비 매일 세트 사도 티페 제가 다 생각내로 데려들이 다 사자치 모som 사자치 모델이랑 맹진다지 요리 네 라르 동당 잡에 사송 라르 동당데 다 랑게 반데 지선 사지 참지 뭐 동당배 데바 사지 당고 좀 차게 되라 렉톤나 잡에 사들 랑게 쓰는 랑게 대바지 속도요래 들이 따로 다 죽으라고 당내랑 시선지 매해 시지 과차는 거들 랑렉톤나 잡에 사성 들이 제가 야매 대리 마다서 들이 다 갔던지 또 사지 그만서 삽지 사바다 시와서 들이 갔던 그것에 지금 저tor는 사바다 시와서 사바는 혼이 취탕지 디서로 가는다 봐 나홀로 그래서 그 상지 담아서 봤더니 들이 타수 가와래 그때 똑똑하는 내가 똑똑 나타나처럼 세번 내려올 때는 그 사자 뭐 다 세대 추가자 아마도 세대자와 조성 그런 것은 통치 시바도 저 자꾸로 통치 시바도 다 살도미 당셔당마다서 상통들 사대치 공고 다티 똑같이 땅들이 상통 들어랑들이 주의디 나라는 것은 내lok차들 내lok내지 저희는 초통무장만으로 차들이 다 이름들이 그 통해서 공통들을 하고 다 주게 요래 도망들랑 저랑 다 죽은 걸 대차는데 다 돌리다 왜 다 죽어서 일단가 찾아주면도 내력들은 받고 그래.
So yesterday we spoke about Vipassana, especially insight. And although I don't know how to explain that well, I really did my best to explain that to you. And I apologize if there were any mistakes. But so we give it different names, this view of Vipassana. For example, we call it Mahamudra and Dzogchen, the ultimate truth. But all of that, all of these terms, all of these words have one single meaning. They come back to one and the same sort of thing, and that is the nature of the mind. They all are a word for the nature of the mind. They express the nature of mind. Jetsun Rinpoche had said, when you realize that mind is inseparable from space, you have realized the Dharmakaya. So the outer space and the inner mind are exactly the same. That is when you really truly see the essence, the nature of Vipassana, of special insight. And so when the mind is free of all thoughts, the mind is experienced as a vast emptiness. And there is a clear knowing awareness that knows is aware of this vast emptiness, vast like the sky. And if it's difficult to comprehend the vastness of space, yesterday we also mentioned other examples. For example, it is like a mirror or like a crystal ball. We have mentioned yesterday, it is said that the mind is like an ocean, like a crystal, and like a flower. So no matter what thoughts arise within the mind, positive or negative thoughts, they all are like temporary ice blocks that are reflected within the mind, which is like a mirror. And that is what we call the mirror-like wisdom. The awareness of this is the mirror-like wisdom. So when you look at this example of a mirror, the mind is like a mirror. Actually, it's exactly the same as space. Maybe it seems to be different when it comes to its size, it's smaller, but it represents the same as space. And so in the Kagyu tradition, we refer to this nature as Mahamudra. And then the name Mahamudra itself is also related to the meaning that it represents. So Mahamudra, or Chakya Chenpo in Tibetan. So the chak part, which is the mudra, but only half of the mudra actually. So the chakya would be the mudra, and the chak of the chakya refers to the empty nature of the mind, the vast emptiness. And that is what we have not recognized. We don't recognize our empty space-like nature. And temporarily, our perception is a perception of an I. There's this me. So now there's just this me. And we perceive self and other and many sentient beings. And they all perceive me. And due to that, they perceive the various appearances of the 6 realms of samsara. Everyone grasping at an I, a me. Even a small little insect like an ant has this kind of perception of a me. And the mind is actually one and the same. Our mind is the same, but we don't recognize that. So temporarily, the mind has become like an ice block. Or you can imagine it's like one large iceberg. And when that is crushed, then it splinters into many small pieces. So there's many small pieces of ice, all the sentient beings. And until the ice has melted, the sentient beings will perceive a dualistic existence. And when the ice melts, the ice is recognized as water. It merges to be one with the ocean. And that state is the state of Mahamudra. In the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says, for a beginning practitioner, a beginning meditator, the mind is like a waterfall fiercely gushing down a mountain. And then in the middle, the mind it flows gently like the river Ganges. So that is what we observe when we look at the state of our mind as we progress in meditation. And so then when you look at the mind is really seen just like water, like a river or like the Ganges River and so on. Because when you know the nature of the mind, you see that everyone has that same mind. It's just like there's different kinds of water in the world, but all the water in the world and the ocean water have one single essence. And slowly, gradually, you realize that as you practice. We mentioned yesterday, Milarepa had said that the realization of emptiness is a gradual and increasing awareness or recognition of clarity increasing in the mind, or the bhumis and the paths are an increasing clarity of one's realization of emptiness. So it becomes increasingly clear as you engage in practice in a gradual way. And so the mind then is referred to as the self-knowing awareness that is naturally luminous, or it illuminates itself. That will become the experience of the natural state of the mind that is referred to as Mahamudra. And it has many other different names too. So it is said in terms of the etymological meaning of the term Mahamudra, that so the chak also can mean prostration or bowing down. And in that case, so first it was emptiness, and it can also mean a prostration. And in that case, there is a verse that says, I prostrate to the ultimate, my ultimate self-knowing awareness. So your own self-knowing awareness, your own awareness has the essence of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. To recognize that is the ultimate truth, that your mind is indivisible from the Buddha's mind. And when you recognize that, therefore, you are able to develop devotion even to your own mind. So therefore, you prostrate to your own self-knowing awareness. That happens when you have gained complete certainty in the view or the natural state. When you are completely certain, my mind is really the Buddha. So I prostrate to the self-knowing awareness, my own self-knowing awareness. And that is the chak and the gya from chakya, which is mudra together. The gya also means like a kind of like a boundary or a seal, and meaning that there is nothing that goes beyond it, nothing that transcends it. Also, the other day I mentioned that the Buddha described the nature of the mind as being profound and peaceful. Also, Khenpo Tenzin clarified the meaning on that in terms of profound. It means that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are encompassed by it, so they cannot go beyond it or transcend it. All the entire universe and all beings do never transcend the vast expanse of space. And when you see it, it is free from all extremes. When you look at the natural state of the mind without thinking, you see the natural state. It is also said to know all phenomena, the nature of everything. Do not inquire into the nature of phenomena, but inquire into the nature of the mind or the root of the mind. So what you need to find is the true nature of your own awareness. That is clear and empty, the clear and empty nature of the mind. And that nature is referred to as Mahamudra, which has the same essence as Vipassana, the natural state of the mind. So the nature of the mind itself is Vipassana, the special insight. It is the completely pure state of the mind, the natural state of the mind. And once you have seen it, you habituate to it. And through habituating to it, you will gain certainty in your own experience. And that certainty is what we call that you have certainty in the view or the natural state. And so this is how we recognize or come to an understanding of the true nature of Mahamudra.
사킨 somebody 남카 것은 저도 요리 오 창은 남카 요리 이상데 미 파체 딱게 따는 요리 말이 그 딱게 땅을 보면들이 딱게 땅을 동 살랑팔라 딱게 땅들이 별는 남겠잖아 다세나 타다 우스도 반가워요 좀 리처랑 생각나고 단 남가를 타위미 바지 그 갖다 사바도 자체랑들이 삽들이 남가를 사바요 말이 근데 이 나한테는 그 당신 남가를 오면 내 말이 들지 땡바가와 들지 땡 사바들이 숫자 또 들어오면 다 줘야 하는 걸 다 하고 som지 말로 맞추기 좋았지요 남까지 우가래시 타임에 말이지 남까 우가래시 저는 남까 타임이 돼야 돼除了우체 걸어들랑 고토들랑 우르스 거리 메시리 당이지 저랑 고토들 따로 이제 가면은 저랑게 내록 또 정말 저랑 다게 우주 차들이 다 하고서만 들이지 저는 타임이죠 속을 또 정말들이 그 타우 창을 우지 받으니 우면랑데 들이 갖다 따라를 책을 사지는 들이 원자와서 들이 원마들 들이 남가고 우면 따와게 들이만 좋아요래 책을 넣어마 원마서 들이 동지에는 남가지 가을미 밭에다 하고는 들이 사바당 까지와 들이 안들이 대답을 차대요 남가 딱히 딴 거였지.
And so there's a line in the Garchen Mahamudra teachings, and so it's about space, and space is always actually present. But most people don't really analyze space, what space really is. So actually in the beginning, we should analyze that, the outer space. So in the Garchen Mahamudra, it says, when you look into the middle of the sky, fixed concepts of center and boundary will cease. So when you look at the mind is just like space without center and without boundary. And also yesterday we mentioned the mind is profound and vast. There's nothing that is vaster than the sky, than space. There is nothing in samsara and nirvana that transcends the vast expanse of space. So its depth is extremely vast. It is profound in terms of being deep and vast. No one can really fathom the depths of space, the breadth of space. No one can really understand it. Actually, once a disciple asked me very directly, and that was in the context of me saying that space is without center and boundary. And so then another disciple asked me, but then where is the center of space? And I said, generally, space has no center, but if you're looking for a center, if you want to have a center, then it's right above your head. Wherever your head is, that's where is the center of space. And so what does it mean? That's the center of space is right above your head. It is that when you realize the nature of the mind, you realize that mind being like space has no center and no boundary. And whoever realizes that, to them, that realization becomes the center of space, so to speak. Center as in the middle, and middle as in the middle way, like the view of the Madhyamaka. The Middleway View describes the ultimate nature, the natural state of the mind, by means of words, so through verbal expressions, and that is called the view of the Madhyamaka. And so actually it transcends all words, but this is how it is described. So in the Middleway school. So the center of space refers to one's realization of the space-like nature of the mind, and then one has found like the center or the middle of space. And then one realizes that mind is vast and deep, just like space. So what I'm trying to say with that is that in the beginning, it is necessary that we think about it, that we really analyze the nature of space.
이제 다다다 Namkatavere, or Namkatavere, Namkatavere, you know, Sadum Justina, Pissing Jitang, but then board in Simari Sality, Pachata Yongore. You know, Tetam Giratina, Sanji, G. Importantly, the Jetam Madaba, the Jetam G, the Jetam per data musn't double and Madabatri, Chakra, Salunjictina, Pissing Jitavere, or Salunjictin, something, Sado Timothy. Matok the daughter in Omarity, no one I come to Jing Tonga Chadi. The Google Simon Jing, they seem to get in these or not all Google Simari Shelty, Ravi Shogun, the Niba Chang, the reality that take a suggestion of Dash and Namto Tonga, Central being Tongi. I don't tell me someone did it on money in there. Send it on money. This I was thinking she was out of your territory, Sarton some joke, the Zoxton, the Kunzamboya and the Dodging Changa and tell us over. Say, so years ago, the dead around you, Shayung, now I have Latomba and Sala Yabla Tomba and Deva Yabla Tomba and the Jetamje, Tomba Chatamje, Young Chala, now Chatamje, Nangya, Nang Tongsum, Joe, Nang Tongsum, the zero giti hit the half or something, Nang making Tona, or the Mangleris of the Lottie Yomere, the Jim Tabaris, the Matare, the Long Shayomere, the little Chapas by Kisayoma, Shinsayomere, this sent the Shi, Yomere, but this simple Nerocity, so was Shibati, Tati, Pas Sayer Matat, treat the Dharma to save the art or someone. So she up to the Pasama to that I'm 7 sorry, she tell me, Sataketama, the little dog tree, Shibate, and the little Taketama, Tati, Takanamato, Tanakata, Charlo, oh, they did long tongues from Job, rather sent the sun out tongues from Job. Now, Chitamjela, one did the money, they're not on some jokes. Then the king said, Savarangiti, Savarami, Hakor, Savarangiti, Nakata, good chap there. Good chap there, said Dodo in the Injury. Sir, don't some jokes, Sir, don't some jokes. Savarangiti, Tonga, Savarangiti, Salameti, Usavati, the second Usawa, the way that they're going to, but Salanti of Madara. Salanti of Madanati, Tata, the water seemed Pachago to be on my Trinity, big committee, 10 tons of the Capatondas of by a roommate to the member song, shares on Sarsaborum, or terms of Simply, Koa, Tomami Bartaba, and Koa and Chamna Yang, Tonda, the Ducat of one is. The cashier got what up with her, same Tatanka can be, or Army, but it's one out of one day, that Kabakita already, somewhere in Matoko. Oh, Mato, the dying is easy, you turn it to the late touch of Tala. Really, there didn't want to do that, Pondeni child. Those who don't be Shiba Kwan is over it, Shiba Kwan Matobakan Kova Chanto, your children. Dollar is the top of Nakata, just a day, a sugar of long channel, your 3 Madaba, the trucker, the Taba, Daniel and Yamdi, but the trucker, the 200 cost of ground, the cost of Madiba, the cost of the tone, the dollar thing, or $3 and Nanga. So the dollar to me. That the Tomari demarrated on number of demarrated. Mato to that the Bishop me Baresi, the immediately half or
So the mind is empty, just like space. And so when you think about space, you might feel that you understand that space is space. But then when we say that all in the universe and all the beings are like that, then again, these thoughts of perceiving everything in this concrete way and having your concepts about how things are, again, these habitual imprints arise within the mind, and then you cannot really see things like space. So as an antidote to this kind of perception, the Buddha first said, all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So compounded phenomenon is what makes up all the things in the world, this entire world. This entire world is impermanent. And all the inner sentient beings are just like that. And so when you, for example, take this planet Earth, this world, it is just like a little heap of earth that you have in your hand. You have a heap of earth in your hand, and when you blow on it, then it just disperses into space and it's gone. And that's the nature of our planet Earth. And that's the nature of all the 5 elements. That's the empty nature of all the 5 elements. So you will not find anything that you can really grasp at, anything of any substance whatsoever. Also, if you do not grasp at things as real, then also naturally the various thoughts and the afflictive emotions in relation to appearances will actually collapse. And that is because you cannot find anything substantial to cling to. Then also in the Ganges Mahamudra next, it says, likewise, when mind looks into mind, thoughts cease and you see the nature of mind. So when you look at your own mind, it becomes completely empty. And so people might think that there's nothing there, I don't see anything. So even though it is empty, there is also a clear knowing awareness. And this is what we call the unity of clarity and emptiness. And if this unity of clarity and emptiness takes on shape, then it is expressed in the form of, for example, Samanta Bhadra, Yap and Yum, or Vajradhara, Yap and Yum. They appear naturally as an expression of clarity and emptiness, or appearance and emptiness. The appearance aspect is the Yap, the male, and the emptiness aspect is the Yum, or the female. Or clarity is the male and emptiness is the female, or bliss is the male and emptiness is the female. So the female, the Yum, represents the aspect of emptiness, and that the empty nature of all appearances, although things clearly appear, they lack inherent existence, which is their empty nature. And so for this reason, appearance and emptiness are a unity, meaning that appearances are empty of self-nature. And this is how you should understand the nature of all compounded phenomena. And when you really understand that nature clearly, and you see another person, for example, there will be no thought in your mind thinking this is a real person, because you have understood that all compounded phenomena are impermanent. And instantly you will see this person as an illusory appearance. And therefore, no attachment to that person will arise, because you have realized that there is no object of attachment. There is no one to grasp at, nothing to grasp at. And all lacks inherent existence, because all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So this clear knowing awareness is what you need to recognize. Do not project outward trying to understand all the outer phenomena in the world. But as we said, you should inquire into the root of the mind rather than the root of all phenomena. So you look at the nature of your mind. Mind looks at mind. You look at your own clear awareness. So you analyze your clear awareness until you realize it. And when you realize it, you realize that nothing whatsoever possesses any true existence. And the mind possesses no inherent existence. It is vast like space. So then you realize this unity of appearance and emptiness. So the realization is one where you cannot find anything that really exists that you can hold on to. That's the realization of clarity and emptiness, or appearance and emptiness. So clarity and emptiness is the appearance and emptiness is the lack of finding anything real to hold on to. And then when you realize clarity and emptiness, which is the same realization, but it's called clarity and emptiness, when you realize that mind is like space, it pervades everything. There is no solid entity or thing that exists that you can hold on to. So that's clarity and emptiness, the unity of clarity and emptiness. And this clarity is the clear, awake mind that is called the luminous nature of the mind, or it's called clear light. That's the nature of the mind. And that is what is to be habituated. And so when you habituate, habituation or meditation means that you remain inseparable from this state of clarity, of luminosity, of clear awareness. And when the mind is clear, then ordinary imprints or habitual tendencies of grasping at things to be real and concrete will not arise within the mind. So when you see the nature of the mind, it is said, it is just like when a lamp flame shining or being lit in darkness that has lasted for 1,000 aeons. It will illuminate the darkness of 1,000 aeons. So right now, sentient beings in samsara wander in samsara. Since beginningless time until now, they have wandered in samsara. However, ultimately, everything is empty. So sometimes there seems to be a contradiction between the relative and the ultimate truth. Some people think that on the one hand, you say that on the relative level, karma is unfailing. And on the ultimate level, everything is empty. Karma is empty. So it really sounds like kind of an imposter talk. But they think that way because they haven't really understood the nature of the two truths. When one realizes the nature of the two truths, that is when you realize that self and other do not exist, then what you see is that those who have not realized that, for them, there is karma. And karma ripens in the 6 realms of samsara. And to them, there is a duality there exists a duality between samsara and nirvana. But the moment they realize how things really are, they realize that everything is empty of self-nature. It is just from the side of not realizing that they experience the ripening of cause and effect. So actually what you realize is that there is actually no contradiction. When you realize the nature of the mind, then all the various appearances seen through the lens of clear primordial awareness become the Dharmakaya, become the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. And so the Nirmanakaya appears in a pure and impure way in our world. But it is said that all phenomena have the nature of the 3 kayas. So when one realizes the nature of the mind, one realizes the union of the two truths in this way. And one realizes emptiness, the ultimate truth. And for as long as one hasn't realized it, one follows the law of karma. But it's important to understand that there is really no contradiction between the two truths.
대기야 뭐 생기 거래. 강강 싸움 마당 똑똑 마당이더니 다상 통과 따와 뒤랑은 걸로 쳤대. 뒤토를 내지 마. 대대서 말해. 뒤토를 내리지 강을 직당 남쪽은 저바 탐지서 자와지. 이 가야면 이제 랑 셈을 하게 되지나. 깨야마서 가야마서 셈때를 때나 되게 셈을 가린도 되네. 들이 요로지를 들이 따라지 그 나빠다고 차게요. 뒤들을 다 대도 고아도 대차는 거요. 들이 대 양다는 거 용나. 들이 대 띠바로 돌. 들이 또 타줘 대차 이는 그놈이 봐 좋네. 들이랑은 다 줘서. 제일 뒤는 들이 대 로치들로 내 돈도 송도 비비는 파까지 요번 다 줘야요 말이. 취부터 아마 좀 세부사 조성 돈대서 특히 전머리 별 공이 별 말배야요래 야 그리 너무 침을 배야 대가서 셔차와래 대서 너무 침을 혼대가 주가세 막나냐 심피인데 가래 다른 시바살은 내리지 시바들이 다 다다지니 샘조요래지 말이 걔를 뛰는들이 다른 게 강양 마서 나 마서 이 마서 나는 세고 내려가는 거로 세 미소가 내잖아. 뒤를 때 하다 강을 들이 이치게야 얼마나 내려오지 하라는 게 들이세도 나가다는 세도 나가 재미 받아 들이 양이 있게 그 세 나가다는 세미남이 언제도 그래라 들이제 쭉 차는 거래. 들이제 독증 영역시 인터넷 나가다고 세고 곰 들이 생각할 파땅 들이 양동구요래. 제가 핑계요래. 옛날에 다들 타고 고학 때문에 연구요래. 타고 고학 때문에 요한테 나또 누구 샤워 감지 taparte shidam de la soba sokche bo shao de te la de ba de jisi ni ti ga de ramji le sa cho sha ta le 탐로 깨직 바티 깨직 통통 가는 데 되냐고 연구요. 제 요아데 제 양당 요라 들이 띠마터 들이 가지는 데도 들이 좀 밤에 연구요. 들이 말은 말 체미 고마롱들이라 예수 말하는데 들이 약간 나와서 통을 끼짜시에 내가 제요래. 얘는 문이래 사고만 문이 말이 사고요 말이. 나기들이 내가 제치 보나 되게 동해나 제가 가래나 제가 송도 초하시라면서 사실 시와 들이 내도 감시되는 마음다고 좀 맞다고 통솔을 얘기만 봤다 들이 다 리포트가 들이랑 다 나타대도 전부 요리돼 있는데 등하는 내 소리 때도 소화성이랑 이 동에 대화를 샬도가서 데라서 봐 그때 다들 만 오셔야 요리 돼서 사람들 배우는 게 요리 토만이 되다 유명했지 시체미나 독체롱도 저반이 소리 시체좀 사다를 내다 뭐 다게 유명 뭐 샬로감이 까들 세고 내려오더라고 유명이야 오리 마산 독자리 마산 가요 마산 자미 나도 가래나 나도 샤마타들이 뒤가야 들려다 보면 내 버서서 홍고고요 홍 나도 가래서 홍고는 암지 돈이 차대 제가 또 초하들 내가 차로 그래 나도 초하 매바 잡아들 때 박차 초하 뒤 박차래 박차 뒤 망고 쌀 들이고 고차 그래 별로 들이 세부 박차 들이 놓아주고 잡은 거는 뭐가 소실하고 대잡은 거래 박차 퉁퉁간에 초와 퉁퉁대로 가면 들이 홍대 도서는 되지 다덕대 도서도질에 담보가는 문의질이라는 남자 이식의 짓을 맡아들이 이식의 메시인 따위에서 메시다위에서 근데 또 생각해서 들이다다디 적진께서는 매칭 칼을 잡으면 잡아거든요. 배 실학사고를 보고는 너도랑 이게 파적 돌도요래. 텔라 차라로지. 돌들이 소화 강내가 배다 소화 타한테 다 그래. 처음에들이 매우 야습하게 되게요래. 걔네들이 다다다 네 독채롱도 접하면서 몸이 시체면 독채롱도 접하면서 또 붙여지는 뭐가 되게 정보를 말할 때 말에
And it also in the Ganges Mahamudra, it is said, that which transcends the intellect cannot be understood by means of the intellect. And that's really the nature of Mahamudra. So, for example, when you receive the instructions, the teachings on Mahamudra, there is the Lama who teaches Mahamudra, and then the disciple who listens to the teachings. And so actually from the side of Mahamudra, from the perspective of Mahamudra, there is no distinction between them. There's no distinction between me and you who is explaining or listening to the teachings. So we haven't realized that. To us, there is this perception of there is me and then there is the guru, or there is me who realizes something, me, I'm the realizer, and that which is to be realized is Mahamudra. But actually, they are non-dual. The one who realizes it and what is to be realized are actually one. And so what is a skillful means to realize that, to really come to a decisive understanding of Mahamudra? Again, in the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says, without a single thought, decisively look at your ultimate nature. And it begins with first cultivating a sense of renunciation to samsara. You see all the suffering of samsara, and you become you grow tired or exhausted of suffering in this ocean of samsara. So first there is renunciation, and then you develop faith and devotion in the three jewels, based on your understanding of the three jewels' qualities. And so once renunciation and devotion have arisen, then you look at your mind. And naturally, through the power of devotion, actually, all the coarse conceptual constructs in the mind will naturally calm down. It is said that this happens when an intense feeling of devotion for the guru arises, and also when compassion arises for sentient beings. This is also called the mind that is empty and compassionate, or the union of emptiness and compassion. So Mahamudra is realized by not having a single thought and decisively looking at your true nature, the ultimate nature, the nature of your mind, the true natural state of the mind. And so here at this stage of looking at your mind, there is not a single thought. So here you don't analyze anything. You just directly look at your mind. That is called the view of Vipassana, or special insight. And then once you see the mind, then all you do is just stay in there. You continue on within that state, and that is it, without developing any thought or any fixation in the mind. So when you look at your mind, do not have a single thought. When you do not have a single thought by looking at your mind, how is that mind? The mind is in a very restful or relaxed state, and naturally it becomes just like space. So in the beginning, you gain an understanding of that, and then you have to experience this understanding over and over again until you gain stability. And then you gain complete certainty in what you have experienced. And once you have gained complete certainty, you will have no more question to anyone. You know it yourself. You have decided upon it. So therefore, in the Ganges Mahamudra text, it says that which transcends the intellect cannot be seen by means of the intellect. No matter how vastly we might elaborate and how much we may be able to list, there is no end to it. We can never resolve it that way, by projecting outward. Like we said, do not inquire into the root of phenomena, but inquire into the root of your mind. These words are really very important. And also we have mentioned before different examples, like the sun or the tree. Like yesterday we mentioned a big tree, so we won't mention it again. So it is just like that. No matter how vast the phenomena of samsara and nirvana may be, there is just this one awareness, the clear awareness that from which it all arises. These concepts of these perceptions of there being a self and other is something that we have fabricated with our mind. Actually, it doesn't exist. So don't think about anything at all. Don't think that there is a me, there's an I. Don't think about others. You just directly look at your mind. You face inward and you trust in what you experience yourself, your true natural state. It can be experienced. And when you experience it, the experience is just like space, a space-like experience. That is the experience to be gained. And so that is then the experience of where you naturally merge your inner mind with the outer space. Or in Dzogchen, it is referred to as merging expanse and intrinsic awareness, or expanse and rigpa. So when actually, now when you meditate on a mind, so in a Dzogchen, when you merge with mind with space, the meditation is one where you send out the mind deliberately into space, and then through sending it out, you merge, which is also a beneficial practice. But in any case, first you need to understand. You need to clearly gain a clear understanding, and then you have to really experience that understanding. And you experience it especially at times when thoughts and afflictive emotions arise within the mind. For example, anger or any other afflictive emotion. That is when you must sustain awareness. You must seize the emotion with awareness. And then just naturally, it will dissipate like a wave on water. And in the beginning, you will only gain a very short experience of the natural state of the mind of Rigpa. But you have gained an experience, and that is extended through practicing it again and again. And finally, it will become stable and always last. And right now, we have not habituated to that, but once you have habituated to it, then you always stay within that state. You will always be in the state day and night uninterruptedly. And so then Milarepa also had said, when there is no more difference between the daytime perceptions and the dream perceptions, you have actualized, you've mastered meditation. So day and night, you will have an ongoing experience of the natural state. So even during the daytime in your daily life, you still interact with people, you talk to people, you do things, and things appear, but you have no thought about them. You don't think of them as being real, really existing things. And you also don't see them as being unreal, as not existing at all. You just simply don't think about them at all. And then everything becomes equal, whether the experience is very blissful or it is a painful experience, it all becomes the same. Whatever it is, nothing will really affect you much. Nothing will really generate a really intense feeling. Everything becomes the same. And that is what we call the peaceful state of the mind. So then, as Milarepa had said, you have realized that daytime, the waking state experience and the dream experience become the same, as in they all are illusory. So, for example, I myself also experience much physical pain, and nowadays there is a lot of suffering. But if I just stay within the natural state, at all times, nothing at all affects one. There is no difference between whatever arises. It's all illusory by nature. And so in this way, you gain the qualities of the realization of emptiness as you progress along the bhumis and the path. So anyways, this is a point that one can talk about all day long. But so what we finally realize is that there is no difference between the afflictive emotions, and primordial wisdom. Also here, Milarepa had said, when you realize there is no difference between afflictions and wisdom, you have perfected, you have mastered realization. So for a beginning practitioner, how we practice with the afflictive emotions in this. So when an afflictive emotion arises, don't think about it in terms of this is good or this is bad. Think nothing at all. Whether it is a positive or a negative thought that arises, instantly rest within that thought, within its essence. And in the beginning practitioners will find it difficult to just stay within that state. And therefore, for them, it is helpful to meditate on the Hung syllable. The Hung syllable has the power to shatter all thoughts and afflictions. Hung has the nature of emptiness, and it renders all thoughts and all feelings into nothingness. So the feeling that arises, so we have a thought and then a feeling comes from that. That feeling is the habitual imprint, the habitual tendency or the karmic imprint. And then if we accumulate many of these karmic imprints, it is because we have accumulated many of these karmic imprints that things appear as real. So that is why the more of these imprints we accumulate, the more solid and dense and real things begin to appear. And so that is why the various appearances of the 6 realms of samsara manifest to the sentient beings. They are all a natural manifestation of the 6 afflictive emotions. So when this imprint arises, meaning when a very subtle feeling begins to arise, immediately shatter it with the Hung. And then finally experience that the one who shatters and that which is shattered are actually indivisible. And then you rest within an even state, an even meditative state of non-duality. It is also said that this awareness that shatters these thoughts is like fire, and the thoughts are like wood. Also, now this is how it is explained in the doctrine teachings, that thoughts arise naturally and they are liberated upon arising. So they are self-liberated or naturally liberated. So when wisdom or clear awareness seizes the thoughts arising in the mind, the thoughts will naturally collapse into themselves. So that's called the natural arising and natural liberation of thoughts. And liberation means that there is no feeling at all left behind, not even a subtle feeling. And it is just like the mind is like a mirror that has completely been cleansed, or kind of has all the fog wiped off it. It is completely crystal clear. There's not even the subtle slightest of feelings left behind. So as Milarepa had said, when you realize that there is no difference between the afflictions and primordial wisdom, you have actualized realization, the actual realization.
Tata, 저기 뭐 계시모요래 뭐이나더니 산지를 못되고래 네 탐지 다비치지 반데 산지를 좋아하는 산지 쪽내가 까든지 양자야들지 코를 등에 됐다는 따뜻한 무슨 제만 됐다고 도와를 동네상 왔다는 대리 타로 탑도 산지마도 색지가 하고 있는 대리 타로 샘 타고 레탈 배도 말 대타들이 산지를 먹지는 되는 바보 견디는 탐색을 먹지 그래 대체 뭐냐들이 색지는 이제랑 이게 그래 되게 뭐요래 그래이나들이 따다 주로 같이 얘기했더니 담배는 동네 됐다고 했잖아 샘피만 보지요래 이나다 뒤다 무슨 tema lord 사람만 뭐 시험을 대하고 맞서서 좀 뒤체비 받기 콜로 반마 체바 저요래 로르도 생기는데 저 때려들 내용만 통 코와 등에서 로요데 타톡 대치 importa che stanno male certi 양나 그 시제야 돼 기체 뭐래 그때는 때문에 진짜다 무서지 대상 그로 탑지가 마음 잡대 들으서다 무서 라동 되나 때는 라동가 못 해야 돼 소는데 소호리 제거리 시도 따로리 다출세가 맨날 양대 조보를 청하던 게 들어오되나 사이를 자자자체 듣고요. 사이들이 런지 타파 상무처럼 매일 냈나. 이 매일 제발 사이를 깨내요. 매일 깨는 게 빠져만 이 라동도 같이 머리 라동도 독치들이 손으로 말 사이를 깨우요. 제가 사지도 이제가 까리 들이 다 또 다른 사람들이 요리 주로 답지게 스기는 이제 공야당 그 상기기 용기 양당도 필요 뭐 저들이 제라서 거기는 이제 제들이 개발을 했지를 드시고 누가 속었다로 그래서 셔터고 저런데 그 스기는 이제 특별히 야처하지 많이 심한 또 못되는지는 그러니까 마음에도 받아送거야 되면 다른 이제 대바탕에 폐기해야 돼 다또어디 control 대박 control 용지 그래서 이제 대기 정보요래 그것이 나면 재미봐 뭐만 개요래 그다음에 강탁들이 선로도 답들라서 왔던 거요래 대다 갑들이 뭐 답도 봐요 정보요래 답도 봐시니 로딱 왔더니 재미봐 가작을 요래 되는 뜻이 답도 맞게 싫은 나게 되게 모놈 쨌다고 모놈 네바하카리 랑기sam이 또 랑기들이 십기섬에서 상인제들 그렇게 리지고 또 되는 요래 사지 탐지거들이 십기섬 모아나한테 리지고 또 돼. 추지 이제 또 사지 난 따와 동달에 되더니 또 좀더 좋은 걸 답도 많네. 때문에 답도 많기는 시기는 굉장히 요나들이 이 뭐한테 십지가 되는 데토고는 십지단 제만들게 기타지 자치 좀 납치 정도 십지단 제만들게 십지바데 딴로에서 십지바데 그 조선을 자치성 들이 십지바데 이거요래 대회들이 땀도 맞아 학단을 받치 뭘 땀도 막 토바던 데들이 사지 이렇게 맞단 지저도 타고요래 특히 이제 뭐요래 그 참하게 디플로마로 소환 대위하다 그 펜스 다음 삼시 사바는 이제 공화 대기시고요 삼바체미 실제한테 등엔 통지 뭐는 삼바체미 이렇게는 강글이 뉴모블이 이래랑 그러면 미는 거요래 들다가 남들인데 고소합니다 뉴모 진짜바나 중앙압도서 뉴모모 체체모인데 지랑다더니 생중앙 낭심지 상태들이 동의 요리나 동의 상계요래 뉴모와 누가 대사들이 말하리 비야 당만 찾아와 지속니와 체비하고 지속니와 체면 당만으로 접하는데 일단 남의 게임한테 대화는 남도래 동해안 남도래 너도 지속니와 체비 맞춰요래 따뜻해 당마들이 초대해 봐도 살짝쯤은 나서는 돈다 지속니와 체비 받는 뭐지 체비 봐 대답전하는 것도 좀 이제 참조의 주로 남바라 타다칼라저서 다시 데레이셔
And so mainly devotion is very important. And so it's important to cultivate devotion to the Buddha because all the Dharma that we learn comes from the Buddha. So remember the Buddha's kindness again and again. Now, especially now, there is so much suffering in the world and there is so much suffering in samsara. And we actually witness so much suffering. And the method to free beings from suffering was only really taught by the Buddha. No one else has found it. So therefore, it is important to remember the kindness of the Buddha. He shows us the path to liberation, and liberation means that the mind has to become liberated. It's no benefit if just the body becomes liberated. So cultivate devotion to the Buddha, and also if you cultivate devotion to the Buddha, devotion to the noble Sangha will also naturally arise. And when devotion arises, then compassion for sentient beings will naturally arise. Dharma friends, also, especially nowadays, we can see there's a lot of suffering in the world, and many of you worry about this a lot. But also think about it in this way, because now we directly see, we are being made aware of a lot of suffering that happens in the world, but actually it happens all the time. Constantly, sentient beings are born and die, and there's always uninterrupted suffering. It is just that now we become aware of it, but it's actually always happening. It's like an ever-turning wheel that turns uninterruptedly. It is just that normally, until now, we haven't really seen it so directly. But regardless of how much suffering there is, ultimately, sentient beings are never separated from their Buddha nature. And it's very important that you are completely certain about that. And then also, Dharma friends, there is an important thing that is the wristband that we have distributed, with the liberation by seeing and touching mantra is extremely important, especially in times like these when we pray for the world. So this wristband benefits those who are alive. It becomes like a protection sphere or a wheel of life, a sphere of life for them. And then for those who have died, there is on the inside their liberation by touching. So it benefits them too. And actually, the benefits are really great. For example, even if someone doesn't have any devotion, any faith in the Dharma at all, if they simply are in touch, or if this liberation by touching mantra touches them, for example, if it's an animal, then that animal will be born in the God realm. And the seed of liberation has been planted in their mind. And in the future, they will take birth as a human and become liberated. Because otherwise, it's not so certain where they will take birth. So it's very important to distribute and where it is liberation by seeing and touching wristbands. Also, the Buddha himself had said that whoever sees it or comes into contact with it will not be born in the 3 lower realms, but will be born in the God realm. So that's the actual word of the Buddha himself. And so, Dharma friends, what's most important is that you have compassion for sentient beings and that you remember the kindness of the Buddha, the kindness of the 3 jewels again and again. Every time devotion arises in your mind, a layer of your thick obscurations in the mind is removed, or it's like the ice is melting. The obscurations are purified. That is when a feeling arises in your mind. For example, when a feeling of compassion arises for sentient beings, then it is said that the obscurations of many aeons are purified. The obscurations of many aeons are purified if you shed a single tear out of compassion for sentient beings. So that is the benefit of compassion, which is really the greatest. And of course, also devotion is very beneficial. So remember the 3 jewels qualities with devotion and think of sentient beings with compassion. And I myself am praying and dedicating for the world day and night. And I do whatever I can to benefit others, for example, by sending them the wristbands and various other blessings and so on. And also the refuge vow from afar. And actually the refuge vow is extremely important. And also nowadays it is saved as a recording on the internet, so it's always available. You can always receive the refuge vow by looking at the internet recording. So the refuge vow is extremely important because generally making prayers is very powerful, but it is said that if you make a prayer that is based on the refuge vow. So if you have the refuge vow and then make prayers, then that prayer becomes so much more powerful. It really enhances the power of all your aspiration prayers. And that is because of 3 powers. First, so when you take the refuge vow, then 3 powers come together through the refuge vow. And the first power is the power of your own intention, which is your own love and compassion for sentient beings. The second power is the power of the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, which is the Buddha's great compassion and the Buddha's vast dedication prayers for sentient beings. And then the third power is the power of the Dharma Dhatu, wherein we are one with the mind of all the Buddhas. And so when you take the refuge vow, you bring together these three powers. If you do not take the refuge vow, even though you might have compassion for sentient beings, you still cannot merge your mind with the compassionate aspiration, the bodhicitta aspirations of all the Buddhas. So that merging with the Buddha's power comes from having taken the refuge vow. And that is why the benefit of whatever you do increases immensely. That is why it's so important to take the refuge vow. So the mind of bodhicitta actually also arises from the refuge vow, because through the refuge vow, you're merging your mind with the bodhicitta of all the Buddha's mind. So therefore, it is extremely powerful, and I ask you to keep that in mind. If you simply receive the refuge vow alone, only that in itself is so important, so significant. And if you simply remember the Buddha's kindness, it is so meaningful. And also I encourage you to make prayers to Tara, to recite the Tara supplication prayer. And also please cultivate and sustain love and compassion for one another. Really develop immeasurable love, especially when you see the suffering of a sentient being. Cultivate immeasurable love and compassion, and also reflect, why is it that they suffer? It is because of karmic ripening, and karma ripens because of afflictive emotions. And so it might look that like this world is in a lot of despair at the moment. Also, we speak about the degenerate age, the age of 5 degenerations, one of which is the degeneration of afflictive emotions. So we are in a degenerate age where the afflictive emotions of sentient beings are extremely powerful. And an outer sign of that is the imbalance, the disturbance of the 5 elements. So the outer elements in the inner mind are connected. So it seems now that there is a lot of suffering. There is a lot of suffering in this world on the one hand, but also this suffering purifies a lot of negative karma, which is also necessary. And now I will tell you the ultimate instruction, which comes also from Milarepa. Milarepa also said his final ultimate instruction is when you realize that happiness and suffering, or happiness and sadness, are one and the same, then you have found the ultimate, the perfect instruction. So you have to see that it all has the same, is one and the same nature. Happiness and sadness are the same, in that happiness is a thought, and sadness, suffering is also nothing but a thought. Everything is just a thought in the mind. If you really meditate, then nothing is any different at all. Everything is exactly the same. So that's the best, most supreme instruction, actually. And so when it comes to the instruction, the ultimate instruction on Mahamudra, it is just that, to equalize everything, to realize that afflictive emotions are primordial wisdom, and that happiness and sadness are one and the same. So that is what you can, this realization or seeing things this way can become your indication of your realization. So meaning that when you see them as the same, then that's a sign of realization. So Dharma friends, I will stop the teachings here today, and thank you all Dharma friends for joining on the live stream.
We'll do the long life prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 22. For this realm, encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. embodiment of the three jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya lion. Supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of the Lord Drigumpa, great Lord of the three jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Arya Deva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigden Gompo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. Page 28. May the teachings of the great Drigumpa Ratna Shri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Tashidele to all the Sangha on the live stream, and thank you so much for joining the 100 million mantra recitation.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche, for your precious teachings. Dharma brothers and sisters, we have a special segment today. Through the kindness of Garchen Rinpoche, he has expressed his wish to continue the tradition of giving refuge at the end of the Ami Dewa Retreat. And so for this year, he would like the students to be able to continue to take the refuge. As mentioned, the refuge vows can be taken over Zoom virtually. And so there will be this special segment where we'll be playing the recordings on the refuge vouch, and we disciples can receive the refuge vows from him. And the time from this segment is from 1:45 to 3:30 today. So we encourage everyone to join in on this special segment. Next, on behalf of Driga Thupten Dargeling, all the students in Singapore, in Asia, and all others around the world would like to thank Garchen Rinpoche for your precious teachings. And Ina, we will need your help to translate this to Rinpoche also. Yeah, so a lot of students all over the world, including not only Asia, but US and Europe, has attended the teachings. And we really want to thank Garchen Rinpoche for this. We are extremely honored to have him here. to benefit our students. Garchen Rinpoche has also been very concerned about the well-beings of the Dharma learnings in Asia, and also ask Dozen Rinpoche often about the practices and progress in Asia. So, and he also puts in a lot of adjustments despite the large time differences across continents. So all of us really wishes Garchen Rinpoche long life and good health. And with this, we would like to invite Garchen Rinpoche to say a few words to us disciples.
I'm the money to the lot up on the Jopanam, the Sonang, the Latini, Mount for a Minchili, Jumachivana, the Chisam de Machapari, the Girokumachibonori, the Nani, Samakadi, Kali, somebody in Yonguri, some simply something, Yamdi, Triti, Mambala, Tamjiti, Tondo Jumachivana, Nayada, Triti, Shoya. They got it, they get that to the ministry. That's the one was in Kisambilla, the one I take each one though, the architect in Tonga, Shawanam, Tugi, around the Ranachi or a subject, Tachili P or a Rangi Tony Yam to Coyore, the told of the Hadam Chimbore, the Manaton of the Amadeo told of the Hadaki Chimbore, the Mangaki Chimbonachi, the Toronto Ravami Yore, Ramatan, Saji, of Terry, Sato, to Bari, Tisosaji, subject, talk, Sato Senta, then that's always some Chundu, something more to Pacha, to some jet, Sanjay, some gore, someone attached Derek Mamboyo.
So it is really excellent that year by year, every year, you're showing much interest in this practice of the 100 million mantra accumulation of Amitabha and also of the Mani mantra. And it's very important that you continue with this tradition uninterruptedly in all future times, that you continue to join these practices. It's very important, and I'm encouraging you to engage in this practice in the future. And whenever you do the practice, I will always be there. My mind will always come and be there. Our minds are always together. So it's very important that in the future you will continue to hold these 100 million mantra recitation retreats, and that all of you continue to join these retreats. The root of virtue that we accumulate are they're really immense. And it's very important at the end to dedicate these roots of virtue for the benefit of all sentient beings. So I would like to thank everyone for joining the 100 million mantra accumulation retreat. And in general, it is a great benefit to yourself. Specifically, it's a great benefit to yourself, but in general, it benefits all sentient beings. And actually, through these practices of the Amitabha and the Mani 100 million mantra recitation retreats, we are accomplishing the dual purpose of others and oneself simultaneously. So I ask you to please regard this retreat in the future as something very important, as a priority. And Dharma friends, I will always be with you in your mind. Our minds will never separate. The Guru's mind, the disciple's mind, and the Buddha's mind are one. Our minds are one, and the essence of bodhicitta is one. The essence of bodhicitta of all the Buddhas of the 3 times and our slight love and compassion have one and the same nature. So see it that way. See your own love, your own compassion as one with the Buddha's great compassion. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Tachidelek.
Thank you.
mambo tongson sangwe yore je tongson ta de seme jeshi omare ta ta lange jinwang ge tongson la gange tongson triti sente ge nata de la so wadong ge muje dugde pa cha ta li tri yang tar tri mer bo ja ta de tri ta ba tan de je ba komang top top ge yore tri go ti monam ja gore seme jeshi yoma seme xia yomare ge ta de ka di na go yore lama sa je jang ha go ze tini dora da si ta de go da go de lama sa je jang wa go te se ji ge tong ja che ba nang go yore tini go ta da bel je te sa je tong ni si ne ti ha tong ka ra sang bo re sam lo tini ta to se ji tam che sa je nyong bo yore ta to de ri tang ma re sa tini sa pa chi bo che go re ti dong ma ma lang je.
And maybe you're thinking that maybe you're very sad nowadays and you're thinking that so many people are dying. But actually remember that the mind is beyond birth and death. And it is just temporarily for now that being controlled by karma, that we are sick and that we suffer in our minds and that we die. And that is all due to our previously accumulated negative karma and the obscurations. But even if they die, in the future, they will be reborn as a human being. They can be reborn as a human being. And if they're reborn as a human being, then as a human being, again, we can attain enlightenment. We have a chance of attaining enlightenment. So this is the aspiration prayer you should make in these days. And remember that the mind cannot die. The mind is always there. And even if beings die, they need our dedications, the dedication of our roots of virtue. Actually, even it is said the Buddhas need our dedications. So then, of course, if the Buddhas need our dedications, then of course sentient beings in the 6 realms need our dedications. For example, it is said that the lamas, the gurus need our dedication because they need a lot of merit in order to be able to benefit sentient beings vastly. Actually, we can also think that we are very fortunate too in this world because we have met the Dharma. We are able to hear the name of the Buddha. So we are extremely fortunate actually. And on the ultimate level, our Buddha nature will never abandon us. The Buddha nature will never abandon sentient beings. So therefore, don't be sad and be happy.
They don't know what you want to give you Mamondo. This of the doors of it, the little rubbish of to go home, Kabbalah, the Hitachi, the Kanapur.
Then I would like to offer a kata of gratitude to all the spiritual teachers who are here now, led by Garchen Rinpoche, and then all the other disciples who have joined the 100 Million Mantra Recitation Retreat. So thank you, everyone.
Tin be jin dang o thang jo ba ji tin ba yang ren ne be zhuo xi zhou Ami Dewa Retreat Ami Dewa Retreat Ami Dewa Retreat Ami Dewa Retreat
Thank you so much, Garchen Rinpoche, for your encouragement. Indeed, Dorzen Rinpoche has worked very, very hard to orchestrate the Ami Dewa retreats for many, many years now, from physical sessions until now virtual sessions, and leading the Ami Dewa retreats over this past 11 years. We would now like to invite Dorzen Rinpoche to give us a few words. Thank you, Dorzen Rinpoche.
Ini cutting some julen data. Ini jensen sabar lama. Jabjeng kacil untuk chola. Tereng amat dewa tunduk dan nyamju nani. Lokso yongjun sabshen itu ni rimbache la. Samju cahi dele shijitang. Ini namju jumpat itu ni rimbache tau tewa cimudoni. Ini tak jalan cucung polo santu macapa. Korwata. Lapat darang anak so amat dewa tunduk. Dalam ini rimbache pengan jemi kingan itu ni. Masalah topi tewa cimudoni itu ni. Kacu mampu nama tangga itu ni. Ning kapan tujuh sejatang. Ini mau payah itu rimbache kece siapa yon tu yon macam apa tangga le tujuan cemipar. Ini cuci kalau sahaja macam koro sejatang. Ini jungjo yang tu amat dewa tunggu cimut ini boleh yon. Ini rimbache ke tujuh mulan jom macam nalar cuci. Ini tatak kabla yang macam di amat dewa tunggu cimut ini rimbache boleh jupatang. Ini rimbache tujuh mulan kadang nyak cilet ini amat dewa tunggu itu pusam supangan itu lepas anjur tempat itu jongsong ini tengah yang kapan rimbache kadang lama dici sini.
I got a little bit louder, right? Is it possible? Oh, yeah. So I would like to thank, from the bottom of my heart, our root guru for his immeasurable kindness. His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, our root guru, for his immeasurable kindness, and so on behalf of everyone who has joined, all the disciples who have joined the 100 million Amitabha mantra recitation retreat this year, I would like to thank Rinpoche, and also I supplicate Rinpoche to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us with great love for us continuously, and so also I would like to thank Rinpoche for having done that, having turned the wheel of Dharma continuously for us, and also now, especially during the Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreat, with so much compassion and love for us. Rinpoche has given us not only joined the retreat, but also gave us so many teachings. So I would like to thank Rinpoche from the bottom of my heart, and I supplicate Rinpoche to be healthy and to live long life, and in the future to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us disciples continuously, and also to bestow his blessings and compassionate prayers and also presiding over the future Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreats. So now it is due to Rinpoche's compassionate blessings and aspiration and prayers that we were able to successfully complete another Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreat. So I would like to thank Rinpoche from the bottom of my heart for his kindness. And also thank you so much for not just now, but always giving teachings over the live stream.
Thank you, Dorzen Rinpoche. And now, Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we would like to invite Christina from GBI on behalf of Driga Tutun Dageling and also disciples to make a monetary offer to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, Kempo Tenzin, Lama Bunima, and Ani Sentem, and also Ina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Christina Kuranto Tapchi, I think,
Ami Dewa
Thank you.
Ami Dewa
And
Ami Dewa Ami Dewa
indeed, we are very happy, and so in addition to that, we are also would like to make an offering to Garchen Buddhist Institute to thank you very much for your support and your assistance. All right, and now we would like to invite the president of the organizing committee, Driga Tutun Dageling, to present flowers as a token of appreciation to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche.
como y treba experience teni tanda di chozo ki chokzo rinpoche metok cheba experience metok chozo ki chokzo.
Yeah. And there we can see our president offering it to the altar for our dear Garchen Rinpoche here. So indeed, this retreat has been a great success once again, and we truly rejoice everyone for the immeasurable merits accumulated. We are immensely grateful for everyone who has supported and participated in the Ami Dewa Recitation Retreat. And we'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Dharma centers and their staff who have supported, especially to the staff and Sanghas members of Garchen Buddhist Institute for their great help and wonderful arrangements. Thank you so much. And our thanks also goes to Vietnam, Drikong Garchen Punsuk Choling Hanoi, and Driga Amitabha Center Ho Chi Minh, the Garchen Institute Japan, the Taiwan Garchen Dharma Institute, and all the Drukong Dharma centers that have rendered support to us in this Ami Dewa Recitation Retreat. We also like to thank Kempo and Lamas and Anis for their support towards the retreat and attending the retreats together with us and supporting this. Thank you so much. And next, we have to thank our wonderful translators. We have Ina, Lan An, Misao, and Hannah. So to thank you so much to all our wonderful translators to provide different languages for our non-English speaking and non-Tibetan speaking disciples. And of course, not forgetting all the volunteers who have worked so hard, the pre-event and during the event, and after that, the post-event, all our sponsors, and especially to all our participants. Everyone of here has collectively contributed to the success of the retreat. And so rejoice, everyone. Now we have a special segment where a video has been prepared specially to show all our heartfelt gratitude to His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche. Can I invite our AV team to please play the video? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please give us a few moments. We are playing the video soon. Right now, in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a big TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of GBI for controlling the Zoom so that Garchen Rinpoche can actually see all of us here. And at this current moment, we have more than 1,000 participants in this room itself. And the staff of Garchen Institute is actually showing us to them. And now please do enjoy the videos. Right now, in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a big TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of GBI for controlling the Zoom so that Garchen Rinpoche can actually see all of us here. And at this current moment, we have more than 1,000 participants in this room itself. And the staff of Garchen Institute is actually showing us to them. And now please do enjoy the videos. Now in front of Garchen Rinpoche, there is a TV, and that's where he can see every one of us. And thank you so much for the staff of GBI for
Rinpoche la long lai Rinpoche tasitele hum.
Thank you, Garchen Rinpoche, for your life teaching. May you stay healthy and long live. We love you. Bye.
I wish you to good health, longevity in life, and I would love to see you too next time.
Ashidele Garchen Rinpoche, may you live long and healthy and continue to teach us Dharma,
Thank you,
and may your teaching spread far and
for
wide.
your life
Rinpoche,
teaching. May you
Tujeche,
stay healthy and
Kadinche,
long live. We love
Mitzeri.
you. Bye.
ガルチェリンポチェ、私たちに氷の手示くださりありがとうございます。Thank you so much.
Longevity in life, and I would love to see you too next time.
Ashidele Garchen Rinpoche, may you live long and continue to teach us Dharma,
ありがとうございます。
and may your teaching spread far and
Thank you very much for loving us. Please live long for the benefit of all. Thank you so much for the opportunity for attending 100 Million Ami Dewa Meditation Retreat, and wish you all the best wishes and long life. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, come on. Come on.
Thank you. Thank you. And everyone, please prepare your kata. Let us offer our katas to show, our immense gratitude to Rinpoche, so that he can see us. Please put on your best smiles. We'll be taking group photo with Rinpoche. And right now, we will unmute the microphones for everyone. So please put on your best smiles and hold your kata high for Rinpoche.
感恩切仁波切啦，
仁波切长寿，仁波切长寿，
仁波切龙龙龙龙龙龙嘞，
仁波切
长寿长寿，仁波切健康长寿，仁波切龙来，
健康长寿。
Thank you for your blessing.
Long life, obrigada.
Stay healthy.
I love you. Thank you so much.
long life.
Life Rinpoche.
Long life Rinpoche. Long life Rinpoche. Long life
Om Mami Dewa Hri, 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 Om Mami Dewa Om Mami Dewa Peace is for Mami Dewa Om Mami Dewa Om Mami Dewa
Nam-mô A Di Phật.
Mami Dewa
Ami Dewa Sui. Rinpoche,万岁万岁万万岁！
Hai Rinpoche, take care. Love
Million
Dewa
Rinpoche. Estelle Rinpoche. Nam-mô
Dewa Mami Dewa Dewa Mark Rinpoche. Oh, Mami Dewa Dewa Oh, Mami Dewa
Che, we invite you to take a rest. It is now quite late in America, and thank you so much for Rinpoche, and we would, invite Rinpoche to take his rest. Thank you so much. And just a few reminders for every Dharma brothers and sisters. Today, the special segment on the refuge taking ceremony is at 1:45 to 3:30. So everyone, please, it's very important, and it's a special segment through the kindness of Garchen Rinpoche. So please, everyone, to join in this. And before the break, we'd like to gently remind everyone that the sponsorships and Changchuk registration will close today at 1 o'clock. So the sponsorship packages include the offering of flowers and lamps and the tuk offering. And we have also prepared auspicious tokens of appreciations on the imprints of our dear Garchen Rinpoche, his hand and his foot imprints, and they are professionally framed for our sponsors. So your support is important to us for us to continue our operations as well as for the future of the Ami Dewa Retreat, which Garchen Rinpoche has said that we need to continue year on year. And to help us in this, there is also the wish of the fulfillment of a permanent premise in Singapore. This has been a lifelong, this has been a very long wish of Garchen Rinpoche, to ensure that there is a place in Singapore for us Singapore disciples to go to. And with this, we would like to share on the statues, limited edition of golden statues that you can actually offer. They are